Earlier in the episode, we mentioned this family that does a whole duffel bag. They carry a whole duffel bag of games. And one of the things that their hack, I guess you would say, is taking the game out of the box. You don't have to go with the box.
Yeah. This is Worldschooling Q&A. I'm Astrid, creator of The Wandering Daughter. As a traveling family, we've spent 4 years traveling full-time to over 18 countries and 6 continents. Wherever we go, we try to learn as much as we can about the countries and cultures we visit. While we didn't coin the term, we like to call this worldschooling, using the world as our classroom. Each week, my husband Clint and I will answer one question about worldschooling and share our experiences of traveling the world with our kids. Ready to get started? Great! Let's dive in.
Okay, so today's question is something that is a fun one for us and something that is dear to our hearts. Mm-hmm. What are the best board games for worldschooling?
Yeah. Why
don't we start with why do we like board games so much?
Yeah, I was going to say. This one is, I don't know, we've always played board games, I think, as a family.
Yeah.
We met a family while we were traveling full time that their family value was board games, or one of their family values was board games, and they traveled with just a giant duffel bag full of board games. And we'll talk more about that later when we talk about how you can travel with board games. But also in Vietnam, when we were in Vietnam in 2020, we were there during the pandemic, when the pandemic first started. And so we were stuck inside like most people. So we were playing a lot of board games. And we ended up creating our own board game, our own card game at that time, in which case we ultimately kind of did a side business and now sell it. We've been selling it for a few years now. So board games have a special connection to us, for sure.
And I think what we realized is we've talked about the importance of downtime and chill out time. And one thing that we like about games is that it kind of forces you to slow down. Mm-hmm. And because, you have games that take 15 minutes or things, but you're intentionally just spending time together as a family. And that's what we like about it. And we find that the kids really enjoy that family time too.
And from a worldschooling standpoint or a homeschooling standpoint too, there's a whole mindset out there called game schooling. And it's really using board games and video games really to help inform or supplement your education in a lot of ways. Board games,
skills.
Yeah, build skills, build patience and fair play and reasoning, critical thinking. All those sorts of things come with playing board games as well. So beyond just them being fun and family bonding time, they can also really supplement your educational goals as well.
Yeah. So we thought we'd take this episode to list out some of the games that we that we like playing, that either will inspire people to travel or that are easy to travel with. I have an article on my website about the best games for travel. So you can also check that out if you want some more inspiration or ideas of what to travel with or games to travel with.
So what are some of the games that we like to travel with? Or what are some of the games that inspire travel for us?
Yeah, so starting with the games that inspire travel, I think one that we like is Trekking the World. Mm-hmm. This one is great because it the whole trekking series is great because they if you're not familiar with that, they have Trekking the World, Trekking Through History,
Trekking the national parks.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so there's all of these each card has information about places in the world and stuff. And so that's a great way to learn about the world. And then you're playing a game too. So it's not just reading a book, but you're playing and engaging with this topic.
Yeah.
What else would you add?
Another one is a game called Tokaido. Tokaido is a great game that has like historical significance, and inspired us really to one of the inspirations to travel to Japan. Tokaido is a game that's based on traveling the road from Tokyo to Kyoto, and stopping along in I don't know, can't remember exactly what era that it took place in, but it's the ancient road between Tokyo and Kyoto, and it's stopping along and visiting various merchants, visiting hot springs, inns, doing painting. That's all sorts of things. So
there's like a historical element to it, which is cool.
Yeah. And I still have an aspiration to someday jump on a scooter and travel the old road between Tokyo and Kyoto.
If you want another like Japan inspired game, Let's Go to Japan is one game that we played recently, and that's more modern sites in Japan, also Tokyo and Kyoto, interestingly enough, but like activities that you do, and you're planning an itinerary for a trip to Japan.
That game was great because we just played it after coming back from Japan, and it was all these places that we'd seen. And we're like, oh, this is great.
A game that we like to play with our family is Ticket to Ride.
Yes, Ticket to Ride is great. We put it in this list as games that inspire travel because there's a version for so many places around the world.
Right.
We have the US version, but there's a London version. There's I think an Asia version.
Yeah, there's a Europe and an Africa version. I think what's nice, I mean, not everything is geographically correct, but it's a good way to like introduce geography into that, because it's got the map, and then you like understand where cities are in relation to the other. I added a couple other things on this list. There's a game called Village Green, which is like England based. You're creating like an English garden. So when we traveled to England, we visited a lot of gardens, and that game is reminiscent of that. And then the next one is Walking in Burano, which is inspired by like the island of Burano in Italy.
Yeah, and if you're familiar at all with Burano, if you're not, it's one of the 5 islands in the Venice area. And Burano is really famous for their colorful buildings, and this game really captures that. And it's a simple card game, a really small one, which is easy to travel with, which also leads us to our next category in games to travel with.
So when we were traveling full time, and we did this from 2018 to 2022, we chose games that were like compact, that we could fit into our bags and then we could travel with, but then that were still fun. So one of the games that we traveled was Unstable Unicorns. It's like a fun game, a small-ish box, and then you can put it in. Like what we liked too is that like there's a lot of words on the card, so it also is like helping the kids learn how to read. So some of the other things that went into the choices of the games that we brought were like, what's the educational value of it, or what things can we gain? What else?
Card games were perfect because we could put them in. We use stashers, which are essentially like eco-friendly Ziploc bags. So we could easily put them in stashers and pack them away pretty easily. I think another one that we traveled a lot with were story dice. So if you're not familiar with story dice are basically a set of dice, and they have different pictures on each of the dice. And the idea is you roll it and then you build a story based off of that. So it's kind of a great introduction into role-playing games like RPG and stuff like that, but it's also just like a fun creative thing that we would do. And the kids love that.
I would often use that when we're doing like writing activities, like roll a story dice, and then the kids have to create a story. And when they weren't able to write, or if they didn't feel like writing, I'd write it out for them. But just the process of like creating a story, I think that's helpful for the creative writing skills. A game that we used to that we would bring in recent years is this game called Ravine, and it's a cooperative game. So I think that is a helpful skill to teach their kids.
Yeah, and that game's great because there's kind of like a camping survival aspect to it. It's funny and a little bit ludicrous, which the kids of our ages, like the 10, 11-year-olds, like they just got a super kick out of that.
Yeah.
So that's a great one. One I would say is just a deck of cards. A deck of cards is great, and you can find all sorts of resources online, either books or stuff that shows you all sorts of different ways, like creative games to play with just a simple deck of cards. And then last,
and of course, just plugging our game. This is our game, Stack the Scoops, and it's an ice cream themed game. So not really related to travel, but what we like about it is that it's math related. And so the kids get to practice their like simple addition and multiplication skills as they're playing the game. And then, it's a small box and is compact and easy to travel with.
Yeah, and that's a game that we created. That was the game that we created while we were in Vietnam during the pandemic.
Yeah, I'm show this again.
And we'll have links to we'll have the Amazon links online, and if you're in Seattle area, we also have it in some stores around here. Yeah. How do you travel with games? Because they're kind of bulky, right?
Yeah. So earlier in the episode we mentioned this family that does a whole duffel bag. They carry a whole duffel bag of games, and one of the things that their hack, I guess you would say, is taking the game out of the box. You don't have to go with the box.
Yes.
So we put the games, for us, we put them in like what Clint mentioned, the stashers. They're like the silicone Ziploc or silicone bags. And that helps to like compact things, keep things compact. But sometimes like games will have, what do you call it? Like meeples. They call them meeples, or like
little figures,
pieces and stuff. Yeah. And, if you have several games that sort of have the same kind of mechanic, you can just use one meeple or one figure from one game and then apply it to the other one. So you don't have to like bring all of the components of the game if you want to like do, a overlapping, or like just recycle it for a different game.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you could even take chess pieces and use them as meeples for games, or the reverse. You could use meeples as chess pieces.
Yep.
For that. One of the cool things that I really liked that the dad would do is he would take game boards and he would copy them, or like take a picture of them and shrink it a little bit on the computer, and then print it out.
Yeah.
And cut it out and then laminate it with like packing tape. So that he basically had these miniature, really thin, really light versions of the board games
or
that
the game
were like
boards.
Kind of indestructible too. They were like really solid. So he could just throw them in the bottom of the bag. And I don't remember how many he said, but I think he said they were traveling with like 50 games or something.
Yeah.
That's
a lot.
Yeah.
And that's, it's great. Like if that's a value of yours, then you should definitely find a way to continue that as you travel.
And one of the other things that we love to do that we've started doing over the last several years of travel is visiting game cafes or game libraries or game stores throughout the world.
Yes.
We've been to game cafe. And if you're not familiar with a game cafe, game cafes are basically a place that you can sit and play a game, usually over food or something while you're eating or something. Well, we've been in game cafes in Japan, in Indonesia,
Vietnam, Scotland, Mexico.
Yeah.
And in the US, obviously.
They're incredible. We've met incredible people. We've bought games while we've been at those places. So we have games. We have a Singapore game, an Indonesian game. So that's been a real treat for us as well.
Yeah. So you can tell we like games.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add on this episode for that?
I don't think so. I mean, I think we could go on forever about games, but I think we should cut it short on this one.
All right.
Well, that's all for today. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Worldschooling Q&A with Astrid and Clint. Be sure to check out the show notes for any links we mentioned in the episode, and visit my website, thewanderingdaughter.com, to dive deeper into worldschooling and family travel.
If you like what you hear, please consider supporting The Wandering Daughter on Patreon. It really helps us out and keeps the show going. You'll also get exclusive perks like episode transcripts, additional resources, access to office hours with us, and more. You can find us on Spotify or the podcast app of your choice. If you're listening to this on Spotify, you can tap the bell icon to get notified when new episodes come out. And if you like this episode, please give us a 5-star review. It really helps new people find our show.
If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe and tap the bell icon to get notified of new episodes. You can follow me on Instagram @WanderDaughter or follow The Wandering Daughter on Facebook. Links to these are also in the show notes. If you have any worldschooling questions you'd like us to answer for future episodes, feel free to throw them in the comments or send us a message at thewanderingdaughter.com/podcast. Until next time, happy travels!
Bye!